Oh shit, what's that?
What's going on?
I mean, that was my voice, but
Red alert, this is not a drill.
Since when does the office have an alarm?
well, I mean, I did set that up with a guy the other day, but a red alert should only happen. Oh no,
Brendan.
Wait.
What does a red alert mean?
Christian, when was the last time you checked Dylan's cage?
Well, after last recording, when I had to feed him, and it happened to be my day.
Christian, I don't think we have long. I think Dylan went to the ministry. He went to PETA.
We treat him great.
I don't. Christian, you say that, but he's been saying for years about how we don't give him enough food. All we do is let him run around on his wheel all day, and he says he's a slave. Christian, I think we're ruined.
He has the running ball to go around on the floor with too.
Oh, for fuck's sakes! What have we
done?
No, he's not in his cage, Christian. What did you do?
I didn't
let him
do
go.
anything. It wasn't even my day last.
Oh my fucking god! Oh,
that's why this is a team thing. We rotate days so that we don't end up with situations like this.
All right, well, Christian, I'm gonna be totally fucking honest with you. There are some things that I don't think that you're totally aware of with our relationship with Dylan. Let's just say I don't think we've got very long until there's a lot of torture on our future. So I think we should probably get this recording taken care of so we could skip town.
What's even the point? Dylan's not even going to edit it if we record it.
Well, listen, I'll give it to Jordy. All right, well, bring him out of retirement. I don't know what else to do. Okay, the people got to get what they want. Okay.
I mean, I guess that's true that the show has to go on. We got paid for this.
All right, now if you don't mind, can you please sign this document here that says that you are the sole responsible person for letting Dylan out of the cage?
I don't. As long as you sign this other one that I just found that signs you up as my accomplice and only heir to none of my fortune.
Oh shit. Hit me with the fucking the bureaucratic switcheroo, fucking son of a bitch. All right, fine. You sign mine, I'll sign yours, and then we'll see how it resolves in court, I guess.
Yeah. That'll be the judge's problem. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly. All right, cool. There you go. Here's your receipt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Here's 2 receipts for you, one for me.
Oh shit. Do I need a? Well, all right. Well, yeah, I got the original. We're fine. Anyway,
thought of it.
That would have been smart. All right. Well, Christian. Well, other than the fact that there's an impending torture coming my way in about the next, hour and 25 minutes, give or take. How are you doing today? Should I read the summary? Should I do the summary first?
Yeah, before we get on to that, let's read a summary.
Yeah. Let's do the summary. Hello, party people. Come on in and make yourselves at home. Watch your step as you come down the hallway, though. It's a bit tight with the bodies laying about. Oh, they're fine. They've just had a little too much of my latest literary libation. I like to base all my cocktails off of books I've enjoyed over the years, so this time I've created Night Night Tea 84. It's a twice steeped Earl Grey tea with whiskey and a pinch of cinnamon for that extra bit of flavor. There'll be plenty of time to sip on that, though. Let me show you the rest of what's going on around here first, especially in the backyard. You'll notice we've splurged a little this time around and bought a few more VR headsets for you to absolutely lose yourself in for hours on end. No, seriously, they're hooked directly into the power grid, so they have unlimited battery life, allowing you to just exist in your digital fantasies for as long as you like. Don't worry about keeping yourself alive while you're in there. Someone will be by with another drink and food for you every few hours. You won't have to desire for a thing ever again. Just sit here and let your desires run wild. If I may offer a suggestion what to check out first, there's this movie I saw recently with just the most wonderful depiction of our world as the setting. Let me tell you about it. Brazil is a science fiction black comedy that follows a man named Sam as he navigates his rather dull life in a dystopian version of our world. He works for a government organization called the Ministry of Information that seems to have free reign to decide how society operates and how people are punished for not conforming to the regime's standards. Sam often dreams of being a hero who saves the woman he loves from danger, and one day it seems like he'll finally get that chance as a woman by the name of Jill crosses his path that looks exactly like the woman in his dreams. Jill is just trying to dispute the wrongful detainment of her downstairs neighbor while Sam continuously tries to get her to trust him by warning her of the imminent danger she is in with the ministry. Chaos ensues as they are both chased high and low across the hyper-capitalist landscape, All the while, their bond grows stronger, and it almost seems like they're going to make it out alive until they're captured in Sam's mother's penthouse. Just before he could be tortured, Sam is freed by the anti-ministry terrorists, and even more mayhem occurs before he finally finds a safe place to be with Jill. Except not really, because all of this was fiction made up in his mind as it all breaks from the torture he endures. Yikes.
Ooh,
Yikes. You hate to see that. You hate to see all that.
Not great for Sam.
Okay, Christian, in a panda view first, I'm gonna do something here.
Oh?
I'm gonna say I'm just gonna give you my my initial review, rating, my initial rating of this film.
Okay.
And then you can tell me if you want me to expand first or if you want to take the reins first.
Sounds great.
Okay, fantastic. So this movie is a hard 5 out of fucking 10.
Okay. All right.
Yes, the floor is yours.
How do I want to go forward from here?
How do you want to go from here?
I think I'm gonna take the reins here, and I'm gonna tell you that my rating of this movie is I think it's gotta be in the neighborhood of like basically the same fucking thing. I gotta be honest with you,
shit, brother.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm pretty sure we're in the minority here. Because
of God.
Everything that I've seen and read over the course of my internet research of this movie, we are starkly on the losing end of people's opinions here.
Yes, I am aware of this. Okay, so I have a list of things that I have to say next, but I still want to give you the floor. Christian, please, would you like the floor, or do you want me to just start fucking unraveling this? I will continue, this yarn?
And we can see what the crossover kind of looks like here. All right, that sounds
fantastic.
Good.
Fantastic.
So this movie is directed by one Terry Gilliam, which I presume you are familiar with. I remember knowing about Time Bandits when we discussed it in the chat before, when we had to record that last month.
One of my favorite movies, by the way.
Time Bandits, a surprise for me, in all honesty. I've never seen a Terry Gilliam's movie outside of, I mean, it's not technically his, but I've seen Monty Python, so I'm familiar with the style and the troupe that he hails from. So the style was not unfamiliar to me. However, Terry Gilliam's as a director was. So Time Bandits, a surprise. Brazil gave me a little bit of hope. Gave me more hope, I should say, going into it when after both experiencing Time Bandits and then reading brief synopses of this movie, I thought to myself, "Oh, okay, this could turn out pretty good." I'm a fan of dystopian sci-fi stuff. I've seen plenty of this hyper capitalist dystopian cyberpunk-esque future that we've got going on here. There's plenty of examples of it, and I was interested. And then the movie starts, and I think I'm still okay for maybe the first 10% of the movie until we start getting to points where things just kind of don't make too much sense anymore, and they're also just throwing things at you. So we start off with a terrorist bombing, and then this man gets abducted, and then we're catching up with Sam, and then we're catching up with Sam's mom, and there's just a flurry of things coming at you, right? And none of it is explained, which is probably part of the point. So anyway, to expedite an overarching general plot point, I think that this movie is a little bit disjointed in the way that it tells the story, and it's just that part is just not for me. B, this follows in a line of, now you weren't here for this, but are you familiar with the movie The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus? Do you know of this film?
Yes, I do know of this film, yes.
Also Terry Gilliam, which
yes, I am familiar with this yes.
Which we had to watch, actually, coincidentally enough, by sheer coincidence. One of the Voyagers for the raffle Panda View recording gave us Imaginarium, so we watched 2 Terry Gilliam in 1 month, and now this is a third one. So
you've seen all 3 of the Imagination trilogy now. So this is so I only participated in this one.
Imaginarium is not part of the Imagination trilogy. The Imagination trilogy is Time Bandits, Brazil, and
The Adventures of Baron
Munchausen or something to that effect. Imaginarium is a much more recent film. However,
my fault. Excuse me.
I'm sensing I know, imagination. I get it. I almost made the same mistake too before I did my research for Imaginarium. I can see I had some stark problems with Imaginarium, and I think the problems with Imaginarium are much worse than Brazil. But I can see the beginnings of one especially important thing in Imaginarium, and that is poorly written female characters out of Terry Gilliam. And this is the inception of that, because
I see
Jill is such a flat 2D nothing character throughout this entire movie, and all of her motivations outside of the initial one, which is trying to get justice for her downstairs neighbor, everything else, every other part of her involvement in the plot she's so flimsy, and it makes no sense. So the third thing that and then I'll hand back the mic to you, is that this movie, obviously, for anyone who, you know, we've sort of outlined the idea here, but it's very much a commentary on society and capitalism and hyper consumerism and all of these things. And I think that the movie gets the dire situation about those things across the way it wants to, and it does it fairly well. You know, there's a lot of examples in it that are pointing towards all of these people just sitting on their asses basically, while one government organization does all the thinking for you, and you have basically no say in your day-to-day life outside of, I don't know, maybe waking up in the morning, and the whole system is just entirely inflexible no matter what. So you're just sort of stuck as a cog in the system, and there's no out for that. And I think that part can especially resonate with a lot of people, and I myself included to an extent. You know, there's a lot of features of the way that our current world operates that just makes it feel like sometimes there are certain things that are inescapable. However, I think that kind of going along with the first point, where stuff just sort of feels disjointed and happens for no reason, and with little sort of plot tying it together, I think that sometimes they just string together, like, capitalism bad, government, don't trust the government. Like, sometimes it's just thrown in there for the sake of it, you know, instead of just being kind of relevant. You know, there'll be random scenes that happen, or characters that are involved, like his manager, the first manager guy, where he's much more kind of important to the plot initially, where he's clearly taking advantage of Sam. And he does all of this boy cried wolf sort of stuff. Oh, my hand, it's broken. I can't sign this check. And Sam goes, just give me that shit. And so he's clearly being taken advantage of, and but he doesn't realize it. And he's comfortable as his part as in the cog in the wheel. And so
yes.
some of that stuff just doesn't really land with me. And I think that a lot of people would consider a lot of this imagery and thematic storytelling straight pasta, and I have to disagree. I don't think Gilliam does it super well. And that's my spiel for the opening here. What say you?
Okay, so I thank you for this talking stick. So brother, I have notes, and when I say I have notes, I feel like I could write you this, like, fucking, I could write you a thesis on what this movie is trying to do and why it fails at it. So this is where I'm at. This movie. So first of all, the movie is commentary, which I'm all about. You know me. I love commentary, and even more to the point, I love the commentary on the subjects that it's trying to discuss. Right? These are things that I like. If you know me on a personal level, you might. The listeners might not. I'm probably the target audience for the kind of shit that they're trying to spill in this movie. Right, I am the motherfucker that's like, yeah, show to the world how fucking ridiculous and outrageous that society has become over time. What this movie is, what we actually do in this movie, I think, commentary versus severity in your plot is a very fine line. When you want gimmick, but you also want plot mobility, you have to be very careful about how you make the comedic parts and your commentary parts not deter or distract from the things that move the fucking plot along. Okay? Movies where we actually hit a good balance of these two things. Rocky Horror Picture Show, Batman 1989, Willy Wonka, minus the one scene where they go through the weird tunnel and he goes, can't you see that the world is turning and everything's burning? Yeah, no, minus... There is a level of severity and relatability on top of the gimmicky stuff that allows for an overall fun package. This movie is, when I got done watching this film, I think it was how most people feel when they get done watching Labyrinth for the first time. Now, I don't know, Christian, if you've seen Labyrinth before, but so... I think Labyrinth's a good movie. Do I think it's a 10 out of 10 like a lot of other people? No. But there's a lot of really cool fucking things about it, and it's a decent film, all things considered. Guillermo del Toro, Tim Burton, I can clearly see how Terry Gilliam, whatever his fucking name is.
I don't know.
Terry Gilliam is a large inspiration to their aesthetic. I can see it. However, the problem with this movie is that it either gives you commentary or it gives you plot, and they never work together, ever, in my personal opinion. I find this movie has so many good ideas for how to give the audience social commentary that are still funny. It's got that Monty Python, bit where it's like, we are the knights who say nick. And then, later in they're like, now we're the knights who say nicky nicky. They do have gags like that feel Monty Python to me, but the gags don't service the story or any of the characters. It's just characters existing in this world filled with shit. And I find that it is a drastically disconnected overall picture because of it. And I'm sorry to say. So I went into this movie. I have seen, even though I mistakenly misnamed the third movie in the trilogy, I have seen the other two movies in this trilogy: The Time Bandits, Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Now, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen has been a long fucking time. I was probably 15 or something last time I watched it. Time Bandits I watched when I was 23 with my roommate at the time, and it was a blast. So I know I still like Time Bandits. I've never, ever seen this movie Brazil until this evening. And I was under the impression that this was supposed to be the best one of all three. And this is probably, at least for me and you, I think this next bit is going to be the lukewarm take. The only payoff in this movie is the last 15 minutes, period. There is next to nothing in this show, in this picture, that any average person will gravitate to on a narrative level that makes anyone go, oh, yeah, I'm really stressed out for my main character right now. No, we're just along for the fucking ride. And then you get to the last 15 minutes and you're like, damn, that was kind of cool, though. But by that point, I'm already 2 hours invested, wondering when the fuck it's going to end. I'm sorry. Why is this movie 2 hours and 20 fucking minutes to get here? Oh, and only here. Give me 20% more De Niro, and then
dude,
70% less.
I just wanted Harry to keep coming back, man.
I just wanted more Harry bits, and I want 70% less of all the other shit that they threw in this fucking movie. I get it. They want to see, this is what they wanted to give us. Fuck, I'm going off. What they wanted to instill in its audience is a sense of claustrophobia, a sense of inability to take action,
of dread too. They want you to feel dread that this can be your future too at some point.
But it's they're remember what I said before, commentary and plot have to work hand in hand. They ride a very fine line. This movie, especially with its main, you know what, I feel like I'm gonna shit on Jonathan Pryce because I love Jonathan Pryce. I think this movie stars a very, very young Jonathan Pryce, and if you are unfamiliar with him, he played the weird priest guy in Game of Thrones in the 4th or 5th season when that debuted, and he also played Elizabeth's dad in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. fantastic actor. Love the guy. I really do. He played a character who belongs in a different movie. He belongs in a made for TV rendition of actual 1984 with how serious he was taking his character. Parts of what make Time Bandits, Batman, Monty Python, Princess Bride, all of these older gimmicky movies, what brings them together is that the actors know it's kind of a gimmick. I mean, there's like a little bit of there's a little bit of seriousness, there's a little bit of reality in there, yeah. But like you need to understand, you can't just be like screaming like you're like this dude was pretending like he was in a fucking Marvel movie from 2018.
Okay, look, I don't have that much love for this movie, but I do have to somewhat disagree with you here. I think the way Jonathan Pryce plays his character, he is what makes that character that character. He just looks so dumb and awkward looking throughout the entire film, and he's such a bumbling fool throughout basically everything that he does. And he plays in that moment I should say in a lot of moments he plays a man-child like perfectly, and I think that is part of what they wanted for Sam Lowry's character.
I think I can agree with that he does play a good man-child, but it's the parts where the quote-unquote shit is hitting the fan. When the shit is hitting the fan, his interpretation of how his character should be dealing with his stress and anxiety, maybe it's exactly the way the director imagined it. Like, he wants him to sweat, like visibly sweat, and he wants him to scream, he wants him to shout, he wants him to be so uncomfortable that like he looks like he's about to, slap himself because he thinks he's dreaming all the time. I that's like Labyrinth energy to me, and I feel like that's what I mean when I say that's the version of this character I would want if I was watching an actual reimagining of actual 1984. I want a character who's going through it in a movie that's not a fucking gimmick. When it's this movie, I'm not going to lie to you, I expect everyone to act like in Rocky Horror Picture Show, Janet and what's his fucking name? I expect them to be their character, like a little duncy, a little lady, like a little like not for wear, but also like when they're in the unfortunate parts of their storyline, you don't act this way. It's not. How do you want me to feel in this movie is my bottom line. I want to know, is this movie supposed to be a horror / thriller, or is this movie supposed to be a black comedy?
It's a black comedy through and through. And
I'm like, the guy, and poor Jonathan Pryce, I think he played the version of Sam Lowry that maybe this motherfucker Terry really wanted, and he definitely is his own Sam Lowry, but I just don't think his version of this character is the version we needed for this film. It made me so distracted from where this movie was trying to take me from like a setting perspective. It just wasn't. It didn't. It made me feel like I was in a different movie the whole way through, which is really again, Jonathan Pryce, great actor. But this is the crux of where I find the issue with this movie is that it doesn't ride its own points well enough. It tries to be this very serious thriller movie while simultaneously being a black comedy, and it never leans into either in total excessiveness. It just tries to be both, and I don't think it lands. I really don't.
I think that this movie's heavy lean on the Monty Python sort of style of comedy is to its detriment. I don't think that there are like minorly a couple of gags in this movie that got me to chuckle a little bit just because it was but not because it had anything to do with actual plot of the movie, just because it was a thing that was happening. For instance, when he gets to the Ministry of Information and he goes up to he gets his promotion to the new department of data, whatever the fuck it was, and he gets his office, and it turns out that the desk is actually just a long desk that's put through a desk shaped hole in the wall to the other guy's office, and then they're fucking playing tug of war with this desk. That got me to laugh because I was like,
that's a great bit.
What the fuck is happening?
Fantastic bit.
And they barges over there.
Can I also
Go on.
Can I also just say and like I love the fact that it's clearly like originally one office that they just put like a wall in,
Yeah.
because you can see the wall cutting off half the window in the back, and then more importantly it splits a poster that's on the back wall, which is just such a good dumb bit. I'm sorry, that's
fine.
Great visual gags.
It is. It's good. That's the Monty Python comedy being used where it should be. But then there are other parts where I'm just thinking to myself, all right, I get that we're trying to strike this balance between the seriousness of the commentary we're trying to make and levity in comedy, because we don't actually want to make a super serious film, and it just doesn't mean anything to me most of the time. Like when he goes to that party for that his mom is throwing for the surgeon's promotion up to surgeon general or whatever, and he's talking to all of these people, all these rich ass people, these 0.1 percenters, and then the guy who wants to come and talk to rolls up and like, hey, I need you, and then it's just to actually help him stand up and take a piss in the bathroom. Like that individual part is funny, but in the whole of the scene and the movie, like all of the sum of these parts is just kind of like, well, what's happening? What are we doing exactly? What are we trying to say with some of this stuff? So it comes out very, very jarring to watch,
yes,
and sort of just be flip-flopped between these two different modes. I think more often than not, the movie is trying to be comedy than it is trying to be thriller slash serious, because not very long do we spend with any serious topic really ever, and it's all sort of sprinkled with this flavor of, hey, so this, we're talking about terrorism, but in about 15 seconds after a bomb goes off, we're just going to kind of go back to that whole dinner scene and just ignore all of the broken people in the background, you know? And also, we're going to do this 3 more times throughout the film, just so you know that we don't actually care about the terrorists at all. So
this is where I'm at right now, right? So I would totally agree. This movie is meant to be a black comedy, and you know, it was a bit rhetorical of me to say, like, is it trying to be a thriller or a black? I know what the answer is. But I feel like certain characters try to make us feel differently about its black comedy nature. And, you know, for whatever reason, for a movie that's just trying to be like a black comedy, why does it feel like there's about as many explosions as a Michael Bay movie? Is all I want to know. Like, I just want to know, like, how it got drew up that way. Because for whatever reason, like can I say this too? I got to say this. And maybe it was just me and the version of the movie that I watched. The sound mixing in this fucking movie was ridiculously sporadic. That you have to like max your volume to hear a motherfucker speak, but then as soon as you got it dialed in to where you can finally fucking hear anybody, then they just, you know, a jump scare cut to a big explosion, which is like 3 times as loud. And then the orchestra starts coming in, which is like 4 times louder than that. And I'm like, God, dude, what is that? I was flipping through. This is another thing that was just bothering me the whole movie, by the way. I was flipping through my volume up and down the entire movie, the whole way through. Because, like, anytime they got to a scene that was supposed to be a quote-unquote action scene, which is not a zero amount, by the way. It happens a lot more than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like 40 minutes of this 2 hour and 20-minute runtime movie is spent in, like, an orchestra-driven chase scene, or some kind of, like, oh, what's happening? This is crazy. And, like, the orchestras are booming, and, you know, we see Birdman flying through the sky, and I'm like, this is cool. But, like, the sound engineer needs to get their fucking shit together. Seriously. I don't know who released this and thought that it was A1. Maybe back in the year of our Lord 1985 or wherever this fucking movie came out. They had different speakers, but, like, my speakers and my headset were not having a good time.
Yeah, neither were my ears. I will say, I don't think I had quite the same mixing problem, audio problem as you did. If I had to comment on something audio specific in this movie, it would be that it feels like on several occasions they just sort of borrowed sound effects from other franchises for the fuck of it, and none of them more so jarring than in the scene, I think, when Imaginary Harry and his team of terrorists break Sam out. There's a brief shootout scene,
like
and it sounds like Star Wars. It sounds like Star Wars guns. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. I thought the exact same.
It was so ridiculous. I was half expecting R2D2 or some R2D3,
Master Luke,
some fucked up version of it in this movie to pop up out of nowhere and just go, "Hey, we're taking off now into space. Here's your Hawkman suit." It was so weird, and it took me out of it. I was already out of it, but it took me further out of it.
So okay, I'm gonna reel myself back just a little bit though. Okay, so do I think this movie is a 5 out of 10? Yes, and I will die on that hill. There are things that I do like, and the number one thing I need to point out is that the set design for this fucking movie and the props are so fucking good, though. I like this is what I imagine Tim Burton would make if somebody gave his ass a blank check. It was really fucking good.
The practical effect work is pretty top for sure. This is something that in particular is something that Gilliam does do well, is work with practical.
And there's like all these different set pieces and settings that play into each other. You know, we've got these like really clean areas that are like owned by the ministry, right? But then the ministry, you know, it has its dirty spots. Like when you have like the really chaotic areas where like all the people are like talking over each other and like, you know, like working over each other. Papers are fucking flying around everywhere. It's always like very gray and very blacked out. You know, it's very, very dirty to like try to signify some chaos. But then anywhere in the ministry that's, you know, supposed to be like a doctor's office or rather an interrogation room, they take it very seriously. It's very particulate and particular and very white, pristine. Meanwhile, the slums, they do a really good job of making it look like your average slums in everyday land, let me tell you. And then I also like, you know, there's a couple of really fun segues where like it'll show you a billboard of like, you know, hey, this is our future, you know, and you see like a bunch of like power silos like in the background of like a happy fucking, you know, family driving down the road in front of it. And then as soon as the billboard pulls away, it shows you the same like power silos, but then just like copious amounts of pollution and whatnot coming out of it. I'm like, yeah, that's the world as we know it.
Or driving down the road and it's completely lined with billboards as you zoom out further, and it's just wasteland. It's just barren, stripped of all resources or anything useful wasteland outside of that.
Yep.
I think one of my favorite transitions was there. It was sort of towards the beginning of the movie, I believe, where if you have a somewhat keen, I think that this joke is specifically for people who pay attention to that sort of stuff, because if you have a keen eye, earlier scenes in the movie, you can very clearly see that they're landscapes, but that were made in miniature, and you know, they drive a camera through or whatever, and it makes, based on the perspective, it makes it look like full scale whatever. And then there's another part where it looks like you're driving down the road, and you above you see these different like buildings or nuclear silos and stuff in driving past you, and you're like, oh yeah, those look like little minis again. We've done one of these shots, and then it cuts to it literally being a miniature set that some homeless guy is looking in and being like, whoa, what's going on in here?
Yeah, that's a good bit. I like that bit too.
That was fun. I was like, oh, it is. I was like as I'm having the thought, the movie shows the homeless guy as big as the building, and you realize that, and then it pulls out, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was cool. That was fun.
I also really like the Sam's car that we get for, you know, only like 5-10 minutes or something in this movie, but that tiny fucking car was probably one of my favorite bits. I want a car that's that size, because, you know, they do this really cool thing with perspective where as he's driving down the road and there's this giant fuck off truck you know, driving down the highway, and then he's just in this tiny little car. Like, the difference in scope is very funny to me.
Yeah.
That was very clever.
Yeah.
Also the mom of Sam in this movie, like she had a purpose, but like did she really have a purpose other than getting him like the promotion and whatnot? Like
she just existed to be the version of her, and the other one who ends up dying later in the movie are the two ends of the spectrum of the commentary for women specifically in this, where they're just like, oh, growing old sucks. Don't you want all of this plastic surgery to make you look young again? And then it's like you could go on to be Sam's mom and continuously look younger and younger, maybe, or it can be botched and you can ruin your entire life literally to the point where you die like this other woman. And so
I like that bit's fine, but like I feel like all the other scenes with Sam's mom, I could easily leave it.
Well, sure. Yeah, I don't think there needs to be 5 or 6 scenes of her just constantly getting younger and having this whole part with the plastic surgeon be part of the plot. I don't care. I just don't care. The initial scene with the mom where he's like pinning back her facial skin. Shout out to whoever did the effects.
That's Guillermo del Toro sort of style at its best, there, baby.
That's that like, body horror that we look for.
Can I be so fucking honest too? When I wasn't totally sure that this movie was the movie we were going to watch, because I was like, Brazil, why does that sound familiar? And then I remembered you guys watched Time Bandits, and I'm like, wait, are we watching the second in that trilogy or whatever, the only one I haven't seen? So I quickly Googled it, and sure enough, it was the one I was thinking of. And when you literally Google this movie, one of the few screenshots you get like on the front end is of the surgeon like pulling his mom's face, and I'm like, dude, this movie is gonna be fucking sick. It's gonna be crazy body horror, like plastic stuff. And then I watched it and was like, oh, it wasn't that. It was only that for like that one scene.
It was like that at the very beginning.
Yeah. Although I will say, all right, so I set design is one thing that I really like. Something I do like, even though I think they overdid a few B-roll. The dream sequence is fun when they're in the labyrinth. I think when we first get introduced to Sam and he's Captain Falcon or whatever the fuck, flying around the sky, doing his own thing. And the first like 2 or 3 dream sequences, like that's all he's doing is flying around and just like being a Birdman. And then we finally get into the labyrinth, and then I'm in. The character design of the villains that are in that, even though it was kind of useless, I liked the weird fight between the samurai and Sam's bird version or whatever. That was a lot of fun, and the labyrinth as a whole, I did find to be a very cool part of this movie. I found it really hard to translate the part where he met Jill later in the movie. And was like in my mind, I'm like, okay, so how are you going to play this one off, buddy? Like, are you just going to be like, hi, I'm your brand new stalker. I literally dream about you. And we're just going to roll with it. And then literally that's basically what happened. And we absolutely rolled with it. And I was very taken aback by how easy it was to roll with it. He really didn't earn that very well.
No. In fact, I would call this whole part of the plot the biggest pitfall of the entire movie.
Yeah,
it's just so weird and creepy to watch him interact with Jill on every single occasion, because at first he just runs up to her, he starts grabbing at her, going, He's doing it to save her from the bad guys, from all the people with the guns that he caused. She would have been fine, but anyway, now he's getting her out of this, and then he forces his way into the truck and just invites himself along with this other thing that she's doing, and then causes her to not only become even more of a fugitive and even more wanted by the ministry that she was before.
Don't even.
By running the gate, He then loses her little mini house because very selfishly, one of the things I think that encompasses Sam's characterization throughout this entire movie is selfish to the letter. And
yes,
none so is it more exemplified than in the entire chase scene with them in the truck, between running the barrier and then just ejecting the tiny house, and then the weird way that he sort of eyes the package because at the time he thinks it's a bomb, but then he goes, you know what, I kind of want to fuck this woman, so I'm not gonna say anything. So all of that is just it's just creepy, and I did not like it at all, and it only gets worse from there. Because then later, when the bombing happens at the mall or whatever, he blames her.
He's like, "Oh, I knew it. It was the box. See, you're not giving children Christmas presents. You had a bomb on you. You're a terrorist.
You're a terrorist." Anyway, so what are you doing later today? And it's just awful. And then, to top it all off, there's just this entirely unearned romance now where she, somewhere along the line, develops feelings for him completely with no reason whatsoever. It's just shoehorned in there. How. As this,
I have no idea how.
As this, like, oh fuck, we're an hour and 40 minutes into this, and we still haven't given her feelings for him yet. Let's just have her show up out of nowhere after she's taken into ministry custody and just hand wave it away and say, like, don't worry about it. That's literally what they do. They go, he goes, we were arrested. What happened? How did you get out? And she just goes, it's fine. And then you just have to accept it. Because the movie offers you no explanation for it. And then they almost kiss, and then Robert De Niro, the hero, interrupts that.
The real hero of this movie.
The real hero of the movie breaks that up, and then they have to fuck off somewhere else or whatever. And then in the most egregious of all of these things is the fact that they bang about 15 minutes later, and I just I'm like, frankly, at this point I'm disgusted, because it just is so nonsensical. And her character means nothing to the overall plot other than to be a vehicle for things that Sam does, and like to be a prize that is won, basically. Which is my problem. Which is my problem with Imaginarium 2. Except that one is to an even worse degree than this, if you can even imagine it. So
crazy.
It's bad. That whole last half hour, anything to do with them is, I should say 45 minutes. Everything about them I hate. I hate it.
I understand. Listen, there's a version of this movie, or at least of these characters, that I can gravitate towards. But at the end of the day, it was Sam. You know, he's the privileged one. He got out of Dodge because he works for the ministry, whatever. Other than his boss being like, "Brother, you are so fucking behind on your work. You got to get that shit done." Also, a really funny bit of having the tubes feed into each other for 20 seconds. That was a good bit, only to have it fucking explode from too much paper going back and forth. Anyway, he's the privileged one. Other than getting a slap on the wrist, like he's fine. Which, to be fair, well, maybe they do know that he like ran away with her at one point in time, with the lorry or whatever. But she showing up. And, being like, I don't know, I guess I've grown a little There's a way they can make a romance between these two people happen. They just chose not to. They chose to be like, anyway, we're an hour and 45 minutes into this movie, and if Sam doesn't get to have sex with her, it's basically for nothing.
What was even the point? I'm like, that's what they're thinking.
I don't understand. I can understand why people would want to, they would want to root for these two characters. I don't understand how
don't. Okay, I gotta cut you off.
Listen,
Sam's a piece of shit the entire movie.
He is kind of a piece of shit. He's got a piece of shit.
He has almost no redeemable qualities. At no point am I rooting for Sam in this movie.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, he's like, oh, well, all we have to do is give this check to Buttle's late wife, and like we'll be totally fine. Like, oh yeah, that's the problem, Sam. That's the fucking problem here. Not the fact that we killed a man for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
and all of his selfishness and his willing obliviousness to the things that go on around him, which is supposed to be part of the commentary, like along with the terrorist bombings just happening, and then people like that are the rich people just ignoring it and letting somebody else handle it. Like that whole thing is just I no point am I on Sam's team. There he's the antagonist the entire way through.
Can I say one thing too? I don't understand like the level with which they brought on the terrorist subplot. It basically had no payoff. Like we accept that terrorists exist, and that's like, I guess that's fine in and of itself. But like we never played into like, oh well, are any other characters like playing off the terrorists? Was it the government doing terrorist bombs so that it can keep its people wanting its regime to be maintained or something? Like we literally all we know is that for whatever reason bombs go off every so often and people get hurt, and then we move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
Which in like a vacuum, I get it. Like that's part of your commentary. Like, oh, people don't care when bad things happen unless it happens to them. I understand what you're trying to say, but you are not using it to serve your movie.
But
it's just happening.
When you open the movie with a terrorist bombing, the first scene is a dude walking down the street and then getting blown to pieces by a TV storefront bomb going off.
I wanted parts of this movie, if they were going to exist, to serve itself. And there are just so many parts that I think have no service. They just happen. Oh, hey, can I say one other thing that I really like about this movie? Pika was in it, and that was funny.
What?
Did you? Oh, that deep cut didn't tickle you?
Pika from
remember?
One Piece?
Yeah. Didn't you see him? Did you see him? Reaching out of the ground, grabbing Birdman.
You son of a.
I'm not gonna say that I am certain that that's where Pika's design came from.
I don't even go there. I don't even want to think about the fact that Oda could have watched this movie and gone, you know what, that's a good idea.
He did. Brother, I can promise you that he's got a very eclectic, I guess, base of social, not social, like what do you fucking call it when you see things and stuff like that. Like he's got eclectic taste is all I'm saying. He knows a lot. He researches and he finds unique ways of bringing shit into his stupid pirate anime. It would not surprise me if that motherfucker has seen this movie and went like, huh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add a stone guy into Dressrosa.
I'm gonna make stone guy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just the worst thing ever. All I can hope for is that if that ends up being true one day, that Oda didn't actually like this movie. He just liked the idea of Stone Man.
Well, I mean, I would believe that he also liked the movie. He tends to be. Listen, I think there's a good chance, Christian, that we're for some reason in the minority. I think maybe
I can tell you that there is no. You don't have to guess. You don't have to leave this up to chance. I can assure you that we are in the minority here. I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain here. IMDb has this movie at a 7.8 rating. Letterboxd has it at 4.1, and Rotten Tomatoes, if you don't already know, but for the audience, has it at a 98%, with the audience rating being 90%. We are so far into the majority on this one. The minority, excuse me.
I think the reason why that is because the easy argument right now against the things that we criticize is you guys are being too critical of a comedy movie. And I'm like, brother, I think this movie doesn't even know it's a comedy. That's the line I'm trying to draw here. All right. It wants to be too many things simultaneously and does none of them spectacularly. It just exists. Anyway, okay. So let's talk about in my opinion, the best part about this movie is in the last 15 minutes and its final payoff. Now, I didn't know that this movie was going to do this at the time, but I think I'm familiar with other like shows that have used this concept. So for the audience, we're about to spoil the most important part of the movie. So after Sam gets captured for, he gets in trouble for forging the check earlier in the movie. He gets in trouble for just failing to do his fucking job, and he gets in trouble for destroying company property with the gate thing. He gets in trouble for what else?
Erasing Jill from the database.
Erasing Jill from the database. So they catch his ass and they're like, all right, well, your ass is grass. And then we're like, oh, okay, so this movie is going to end up very sad. This is not a happy ending kind of movie. And then he goes into his torture chamber, and Jack, who we haven't even talked about this guy yet. Jack is a dude in the movie who we don't really know much about him at first. All we know is that he works for the intelligence agency that Sam inevitably starts working for. And then we learn a little bit later that he specializes as an interrogator for the intelligence agency. Specifically, he just, lobotomizes motherfuckers. And that's his thing. That's what he does. And so Jack and Sam were friends before the events of this movie. They were acquaintances or friends with each other at some point in time. And during the events of this movie, they have a bit of a falling out because it was going to be Jack's job to hunt down Jill for questioning because she was asking questions about the motherfucker that got murdered unnecessarily by the name of Buttle. She was like, I want this guy to be released. He's my neighbor, and he was taken unnecessarily, blah, 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 blah. And that was flagged by their government, saying as, she's not really, like, that's like some sussy thing. Like, you're questioning the government too much. That's cause for be going to prison. Don't let the ICE agents come. I'm just kidding. Not really. But other great commentary is that basically ICE exists in this movie. So, like, yeah, I listen, again, I am the target audience. So when I have criticism, don't think I don't say these things lightly. Anyway, moving on. So Jack he gives the report to Sam because Sam has a vested interest in finding Jill, because he's horny for her. And that's basically it, by the way. For those keeping track, that's it. Like, he literally just wants to fuck her.
It's what all of his dreams are about too, by the way. She's always a damsel in distress that needs saving, and that's all he wants to be to her. He doesn't
like meet her and go like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I can't, like, you are actually like the girl of my. He literally just wants to sleep with this woman, and that is his only. It's not even his primary. It is his only motivation for finding this woman. And so when he gets the report. And he eventually finds her. So that's what we know about Jack. When Sam gets in trouble, then Jack catches up with him and he's like, hey, you know what, Jack or Sam, I'm going to be totally fucking honest with you. I know we've been friends, but like after this all blows over, can you just like never talk to me again, actually? And then Sam's like, well, what the fuck? Honestly, Sam, like you flew too close to the sun. Get it? Now you're fucking Icarus too, Mr. Birdman. You flew a little too close to the sun, and now you fucked around. You found out. And so that was the last time we met Jack. Now we're back to Jack when he's in the torture chair. And can I in my mind I was like, so they play this scene out, and then Jack is like, oh, I can't believe I have to do my normal torturing stuff to one of my own friends. And I'm like, is he your friend though? Like, I thought you like literally fucking threw you literally wrote this guy off like 20 minutes ago. Like, why do you have this like this emotional connection to him now? So I already didn't buy it for a minute, and lo and behold, 2 more minutes go by of like suspense and like, oh no, is he gonna peel an eyeball out of his skull or electrocute him or something? That's when Robert De Niro, the only real protagonist in this entire fucking movie, and his band of pirates come, crawling through the ceiling and save Sam's ass. Probably one of the best parts of the movie, where Robert, they go in, they swoop Sam, they're like, we got you, buddy. That they break him out of this is when the Star Wars lasers come in, by the way. They break him out of the fucking the ministry or in the intelligence facility, and then Robert Downey, or not Robert Downey, sorry, Robert De Niro, not Robert Downey. Robert Downey was probably like 4 at the time of this movie's making. Robert De Niro
almost did it again.
I almost did it again. Escapes with Sam here, and even though he loses his entire crew, they're like around the corner, like in an alley, and then De Niro pulls out his like fucking magic bomb thing, and then he's like, "Would you like to do the honors, Sam?" And Sam's like, "Abso-fucking-lutely." He plunges it down, and then the information ministry blows the fuck up. Happily ever after. Except it's not, and there's still like 20 minutes left in the runtime of this film. Or, well, maybe like 15, but still. Then a whole bunch of magic shit starts happening where they're running through the crowds, and De Niro's character starts getting pelted with paper, and then he starts turning into like a paper, Sasquatch, and like, Sam is like, "Oh no, De Niro, are you okay?" And then he like sifts through the paper, and then De Niro vanishes, and then we get a dream sequence, and I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. We're in a fucking dream sequence. Anyway, so by the end of the dream sequence, we catch up with Sam, who gets saved by Jill, similarly to like his dreams, only instead of being Birdman at this point, we now just have Sam and Jill together with their normal selves, and they fuck off into the countryside with the little house that apparently was not destroyed, that was blocking the two trucks from earlier in the fucking movie. And they live happily ever after. And then it pans out and it slowly turns into a painting, and they did not live happily ever after. Sam, unfortunately, was actually lobotomized. They lost him, and then he's just been dreaming about his perfect reality ever since. And that's where the movie ends. And I think that bit has played out in other things. I think they did it in Rick and Morty once upon a time. In an episode where like there's like a factory, and then like they show like a guy breaking out of torture, but then like it ends up turning out that it was all in his head. Like he's got like a VR headset on his face or something like that. I think they've done this bit in other things, is what I'm saying. So maybe this is the catalyst of that bit. You know what? If it is, power to you. Love that for you, Brazil. But like, God, I did not need 2 hours and 10 fucking minutes to get there. 2 hours and 20 minutes really to get there. I remember thinking, it's 2 hours and like 24-minute runtime. Oh yeah, it's probably only going to be like, like a 2 hour and 10-minute movie with 20-minute credit. No. The credits are literally 3 minutes. 3-minute credits. This is a 2 hour and 20-minute long full length film. Just so we're clear. Anyway, sorry. My long-winded rant has finally ended. Great bit. Love that bit at the end. It unfortunately for me personally, it did not earn a right to be there with my attention. Unfortunately, I am so sorry to say.
Yeah, it becomes pretty. It is great, obviously, the escape sequence as it happens, because right off the bat we're getting more Harry, more Robert De Niro Harry in my life. Great, love that for us. But and then the subsequent parts that happen with the escape up until the part where it gets fantastical is good. I'm here for it. It's fine, and we're experiencing this other side of the story where, oh, okay, like maybe there's a hopeful ending to this where they've blown up the ministry, and then there's a 5-minute closing sequence where somehow some things start to turn for the better, maybe. But then we go this dream sequence route where Robert De Niro disappears into Paper Man, and he goes to the make-believe funeral of this other woman who just progressively had the problems, and his mom looks like Jill, I think, at the end.
Yeah, what? Am I crazy, or was that literally just the actress for Jill?
I'm pretty sure it was Jill. There was heavy
That's
makeup
so
involved,
weird.
but I'm pretty sure that was just
Is that
Jill.
supposed to be like I want to fuck my mom bit? Like, I'm so confused.
I don't know if this is an Oedipus thing or not. I don't know, man. It was strange. And then he falls in the coffin. He whatever ends up wakes up, quote unquote, in the van with Jill, and then they ride off. Right, Brennan. I have. I don't know how you're going to take this, but I have news for you about this specific thing.
Okay.
So for a long time, Terry Gilliam was actually having a hard time getting this movie finished and released to the general public. I don't know what the exact problems were. He was just being barred by a lot of the people from Universal Studios, I believe it was, that were in charge of releasing this movie and the rights to this movie. So, and I think they wanted a heavier hand in the storytelling, the editing of the film. So it got to the point where this did actually happen, and the version of the movie that was initially released was, and you're gonna love this because you're gonna love and hate this. The original cut of this movie, the Universal's version of this movie was a mere 90 minutes. It was 93 minutes. It was an hour and a half. So we love this because it's almost a full hour shorter than the movie we got. We hate this because that's not the movie we watched.
Okay, yeah.
Now,
I agree with that.
I one of the more notable things about this is that they cut a lot of Jill's scenes because, and this is partially Gilliam's doing also, because apparently he was very unsatisfied with the way that she portrayed the character in a lot of scenes. So I can only hope that she was fighting back against the bland, boring, shitty character that she was and trying to spice it up. I can only hope that she was trying to put some effort in the character and make them more of a character than what we got. But anyway, what we got at the end of this 90 some odd minute adventure was actually what would come to be referred to as the love conquers all ending, Brendan, where instead of cutting back to him being in the chair, Universal wanted to make this a much happier sequence of events, and they let Sam and Jill ride off into the sunset, all happy-go-lucky, as if they had actually escaped, and he actually woke up in the car, and that was all a dream. Everything else was a dream, and they have the tiny house, and they move out to that countryside, and they love each other forever. And I think there's another Hawkman sequence at some point in there, because I watched a 2 or 3 minute cut of just the ending, and they live they live happily ever after. That version of the movie exists out there somewhere, but Gilliam, because he's a fucking stubborn bastard, he fought to get his movie released, and eventually he would do it, and we would see the movie, the director's cut, if you will, of this movie, and we would then get the version of the movie that we watched for tonight's recording. I will say, on a lot of fronts, I think the more research that I do about Terry Gilliam, the more I kind of just don't like this guy as a person, and also now his movies, as he is one he's 1 for 3 now on Terry Gilliam movies. So I think, just generally speaking, he's a hard director to work with, and seems to probably be somewhat sexist from both his portrayals of women in his films, and the likely way that he treated I had the actress's name, Kim Greist, yes, who played Jill. So that being said, I dislike this guy, but he did one very petty thing that ended up getting him the way forward on his version of the movie. He went on an episode of Good Morning America with Robert De Niro himself. Regis Philbin? No.
Oh, okay.
No. Good Morning America, whoever was hosting it back in the 80s or whatever.
I think it was
it might have been Regis Philbin. You had it right the first time.
Regis Philbin. Thank you.
But he was there. He was there with Robert De Niro, who is famous for not particularly doing morning shows or really talk shows or anything in general. But the short of it is that Gilliam brought a picture of the Universal studio head that was giving him all of this shit to the recording of Good Morning America, and he went, "Hey world, this piece of shit," and I don't remember his name now. This piece of shit isn't letting me release my movie the way I want it. Go make his life fucking miserable. And it's basically like a Twitch streamer back in the 80s, the version of a Twitch streamer going, "Hey, you chatter by this name, fuck you, and you should feel bad." Like that's the equivalency, Twitch but for 1980. Yeah. Fucking witch hunt this person, and apparently it worked. Because eventually, soon after, he got to release the movie the way that he wanted to. So just overall incredible. Kind of shitty, petty person. But I thought that would be that would be fun for some people to know.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for letting directors release the cuts as they really wanted to see it, but then I reserve right to be like, oh, by the way, your cut mostly sucked.
By the way, this kind of sucks anyway, So
I will say, I think the movie, the original ending between the two is a much bigger triumph. I think it's a much bigger Like, oh, that's like, you know, I love that, like, you know, sad, but also like, fuck, I definitely saw that coming, blah blah blah. Like that's a very bittersweet ending. We love that. But the rest of the movie, brother, all I'm gonna say is, you know, I liked the Schneider cut when it came out. I ain't giving this the same praise. I don't think.
No.
I'm not, you know, chanting in the streets, release the Terry cut of Brazil based on what I got this evening. I'm gonna be so fucking for real.
No, I don't think so either. But
all right, you know, I feel like I've gotten everything off my chest. But listeners, I'm devastated. I really am. I wish that, you know, I feel like, not to say that Christian is like a dude that doesn't like good movies. I think on average, between the two of us, I tend to like movies for its artistic nature more than you would. This movie, I understand all of the art they're trying to do, and I think every single bit of it does not serve itself in any significant fashion. And for that reason, it's a 5.
And for that reason, I am out.
I'm devastated, listeners. I really am.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm disappointed too, because I had hoped that just with a cursory glance at what this film was supposed to entail, and the fact that it fell in the same realm as Time Bandits, that I would have been getting a better product. And that just didn't happen. And I think that definitely plays into my dislike for the film as well, among all of the other things. So
I almost wish that I did see this movie when I was a kid, around the same time I originally saw Time Bandits, but like, fuck, dude, I don't know if I would have even got the commentary. I probably would have just thought that it was like a loud, creepy, scary movie, honestly. I feel like an adult's the only one that can appreciate the commentary, but as an adult watching the commentary, I'm like, but there's so much more movie that you are not using to service its own narrative. What are you doing, people?
Right.
I guess I just, all this to say, I don't know what this movie's for, because I know what Time Bandits is for, and it's for children.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just to as the closing thought to the whole thing. You're aware of kind of what the purpose of, maybe not the purpose, but the overarching theme of the Imagination trilogy, as it were, is?
I guess I'm not. So now that you say that,
more or less, it's referred to the Imagination trilogy because each of the 3 movies the stories are told in a way or from the perspective of different time periods of a person's life. So childhood for Time Bandits, middle age for the most part, because Sam is like 30, 40, something like that.
Sure.
And
Okay,
then
yeah.
Baron Manchusson or whatever, he's an old man. And so it's about the overarching theme here with these 3 movies was imagination from the perspective, from different points in a person's life. Imagination as a child, imagination in your middle ages, and then imagination when you're an older person. I haven't seen Baron Manchusson, so obviously I can't comment on it.
I have seen
but
it. I remember liking it when I was little, and I think the last time I watched it, I was like 15 years old. But you know, things can change, Christian. Things can change in a hot minute.
Yeah, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. So, but yes, that is so the idea is I don't even remember what you said to make me think of this, but that's the whole point kind of these 3 movies is imagination from different points of your life. So
okay, interesting. Good to know.
That is kind of where, because you mentioned it was like a kids movie. Time Bandits kids movie. This one's supposed to kind of be more for the Middle Ages, and then Baron Manchusson can be for anyone, but it's supposed to kind of have the most meaning for people who are in the later stages of their life. So.
Also, Robin Williams and Uma Thurman is in the Baron movie, and so like all I'm saying is like that alone, man.
Look, dude, we got Robert De Niro and Jonathan Pryce in this one, so really, can you?
Jonathan Pryce is also in the Baron movie.
Okay, well, I mean, the point still stands.
I think he's going to play a much better character.
Yeah. So, all right. That all being said, I think we've about exhausted everything we can talk about on this movie, so
I think I agree.
I think it's time we moved on to the ending segments, where hopefully
it is my time?
You have done your research.
Yes, I did
time.
my fucking. Listen. We last week I was off my game. All right, this week I'm on.
We're locked in again.
I'm on, baby.
All right,
yeah, we're locked in. Don't even worry.
Love it.
All right. Brother, I've got no funny business for you this week. I just gotta ask, based on everything you've seen, and you know, to be fair, you have a little bit of context, right? Like you've seen you played this game with Time Bandits, correct?
I did, and Imaginarium, which is a newer movie, but still sort of has the same practical effect work to it as well. So
okay, so I feel like you have a good gauge for what you are up against. Now, let me ask you this: do you feel like this movie utilizes more practical effects than others, or and how much does that monetary difference change the budget of this movie? That's really going to be the only question that goes into. But without further ado, Christian, what do you think the budget of this movie was?
So it feels like this movie is fairly comparable to Time Bandits in terms of a practical effect usage. I think that there is more gone into this one than Time Bandits because of the immense set design that they do in a lot of situations. So my guess would be that it was more than Time Bandits. So I think and I double checked Time Bandits earlier when I was looking up other things, and Time Bandits was made for about $5 million. So my guess is gonna be that this movie was probably in the neighborhood of 10 to 15. So I'm gonna split the difference and call it 12.5.
All right. So your final answer here is in fact 12.5 million. Is that correct?
I'm locking that one in.
All right, brother, you nearly fucking nailed it. Your range is gold standard. You just needed to go on the higher end of that spectrum. It was, in fact, 15 million on the budget.
Fuck! Oh
you
man!
You said the thing, and you were right there. And I was like, oh, don't split the difference, buddy. Just go for it.
Damn!
You hate to see it, but that's incredible. You nailed it. All things considered.
Well, all right.
Pat yourself on the back. It's okay. This is a hard game. It's a hard game. It's much harder than the game that you give me at the other end of the show.
Well, you know.
Yeah, let's be real here. But okay, all right. So we know the budget was 15 million. All right. So Christian, what the fuck do you think this movie made back in the day? Now let's do some mental math. This is not the last movie this guy makes.
No.
So surely it made money. The question is how much and what is the figure? Otherwise, like no, he's already hard to work with as a director to actor. He's hard to work with from a studio to director. Like there's no way this guy would get more fucking gigs if he did not at least bring some fucking money home, right?
Yeah, I think I do know this, and even with movies that are, I think, worse than this, he still made money. And so I'm pretty confident that this movie at least doubled itself in profit, along with the fact that I already inherently know that this movie gets high ratings. So
yes, people
loved it now. People loved it then. People love it now. I'm going to assume that this movie made somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm going to say this movie made $60 million.
All right. And that, sir, is your final answer, $60 million.
That's going to be my final answer.
All right, Christian. And I'm going to be honest. I feel like I led you astray, but I think you're going to like the result here. Brother, this movie lost money.
No. I mean, yes, but no, really.
It did. Believe it or not, for whatever reason, this motherfucker got to make more movies, and he did not make money on this movie.
Wow.
Brother, this movie only made 9.9 million.
No, it didn't even make the budget back.
It didn't even make the budget back. How is this guy making movies?
That's crazy.
I don't understand, dude.
I mean, I'll tell you how he's really making movies. He fucking he has his own production studio. It just like has
That's true too.
He just has to go to Universal or whoever and be like, "Hey, help me publish this shit.
Help me publish this. I'll leverage it with my own capital."
I'll leverage it with my own capital. And also, you ever heard of Monty Python? I was in that. And then they go, "Oh, dude."
Oh, you're a Monty Python guy? Well, shit.
Brendan,
I guess I'll just
here,
get my checkbook.
I'll let you in. I'll let you in on some supporting evidence for this. Robert De Niro wanted to be in this movie so badly, he did it for free.
Really?
First of all, he wanted to play the part of Jack, and that was already promised to what's his face. That plays Jack.
Is it Ian Holm?
No, that's Michael Palin.
It was Michael Palin.
Michael Palin.
Yeah.
So Michael Palin was already promised the role. So then they gave him the role of Harry instead. But yeah, Robert De Niro wanted to be in this movie so bad that he did it for free.
Brother, I don't understand.
He had a free couple of weeks, and he was like, let me do it. Also, Robert De Niro famously also kind of hard to work with, as like wants to do a lot of research and really immerse himself in the role. I think they allotted 1 week or something like that to him filming his pieces, and it ended up taking 2+ weeks because he had to do so many more takes. But he wasn't happy with his take, so he's like, no, I want to do that again. yeah And Gilliam just kind of went, I'm not paying you, so I guess really the only thing that's being lost here is time. If
you want to be here for an extra week, I guess that's totally fine.
Yeah, I guess fuck it.
On your dime, by the way.
Oh wow, yeah, that brings me joy to that he didn't make money off of this movie. I gotta admit, it brings me what some people would probably say is a sick, twisted sense of humor, but honestly, fuck it, dude.
Fuck it.
With each passing film, I come to dislike Terry Gilliam more. I feel like
I think there's a lot that could have been right with this movie that this movie failed to accomplish, and I'll leave it at that. And that's why I am not sad that it lost money.
Yeah.
For that reason, it deserves a 5.
Yeah, I'm totally chill. I'm chill with that. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay,
those are my two games for the evening, Christian. All right, well, I think it's your turn or my turn.
Well, time to flip the script. I've got some Letterboxd reviews, and as I already stated,
my God.
People like this movie. People love this movie.
This fucking
and
movie.
They don't just if they don't just like this movie, they love this movie, and they really think this movie has something to say to people. What I think is a point in our court more than anything, a point on the board for us is that a lot of people's reviews is really just about the message that it's trying to get across and the social commentary on the system and capitalism and all of these things. Basically, nobody ever praises the plot.
Nobody says that they don't make movies like this anymore.
Yeah, no, like Terry Gilliam's a visionary for going out of his way to hammer home this dark comedy dystopian thing, and very few people are like, wow, I really love how interwoven the story is with the message and how good the combination of the two of them is, and the comedy is just on point the whole way through. Nobody's saying this. Like there's
nobody say they're just
so
like, man,
few
dude,
people.
That one time that the guy on the TV was talking about, hey, get all of your ducks customized to the way that you want, and they're like, oh, we do that today. That's just like what we do.
God.
We make things inherently harder for ourselves, only for aesthetical purposes.
I fucking
that's
love
me.
ducks. Yeah. And then there's the fucking animals who love the romance aspect of this, and I'm sick.
What
sick.
romance?
What romance? Those people make me sick. Like
that's
actively.
Disgusting.
So
you guys really need to actually touch grass. Come on.
With that being said, I've got the most liked review here for you on letterboxd.com. This reviewer kept it real short and
5 out of 5.
I wish I could write a review, but I have to fill out a 27B-6. Excuse me. What do they refer to dashes as? Stroke?
Not
right?
Stroke. That's exactly right. That's stroke. Yeah.
I have to fill out a 27B/6 form first. I'm a stickler for paperwork, you see.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, I know how you could think that, but this was actually a 4.5 out of 5.
Come on. So whatever.
It's
I thought for
basically
sure
5 stars.
That's a great review, though. That's a great fucking review. I'll be honest. That tickles me. I like that. That's a good bit.
Yeah, I has like 4,000 some odd likes or something on Letterboxd. It's a good one. As far as Letterboxd reviews goes, that's like a quintessential Letterboxd review, and I was here for it. So
yeah.
Even if I knew it was going to lead you astray a little bit, I had to give it a whirl. So that being said, we're going to move on to another one. I've got a review here that says, firstly, this was a very funny film at times, but that's to be expected with a Terry Gilliam colony. However, at other times, this couldn't have felt slower and uninteresting. Hopefully, a rewatch makes me enjoy this more like most seem to have. I will not be rewatching this movie. Please, I hope you didn't either, reviewer.
I will. Yeah, I will not be rewatching.
The acting, hold on. The acting, production, design, and comedy are all great. The writing is a mixed bag. Like I said, the comedic elements are good. So too is the plot itself. But I just thought the pacing was way too slow to carry my interest throughout.
That miraculously feels like a low star review. Hold on, wait a minute. You can't.
Well, I'm not going to come in here with all the glowing reviews. Like, surely I got to come in here with some balanced
I honestly,
opinions.
I thought you would be like scraping the barrel, like the bottom of the barrel, to find a 2-star based on the average like Letterboxd score here. But that feels like a 3.5. I'm gonna say 3.5.
3.5, you say?
Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Final answer.
Off by a half star once again.
Damn!
This was
is it
3
the 4?
flat.
If you tell me it's
no,
a fucking
this is
4,
3
okay,
flat.
3 flat.
3
Okay,
flat.
that's fair. I respect that.
Very that feels like a 3-star review. That's an honest 3 stars.
That is an honest 3-star, but I think I let some of the Letterboxd weighting get like, make me second guess myself.
It
like,
does happen that way. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And realistically, this reviewer is only giving it 1 point more than us, because if you double this, it's a 6 out of 10 as opposed to our 5 out of 10. But I think this person truly enjoyed it more than a 5 or a 6 out of 10, or we disliked it less than a 5. Maybe perhaps we're actually more like,
it could be
perhaps
that.
we're more like 4s, which would probably cause me to rethink my Imaginarium score, because I think I called Imaginarium a 4 also, and I might have been being too forgiving of it. That movie's probably worse than that, in all honesty.
A 4 is too forgiving.
Yeah, in retrospect. And I was thinking about this before, after that recording with Justin too, and I was like, this movie, that movie was probably worse than a 4. That might have been like a 3, but I digress.
You hate to see it.
The next reviewer says, eccentric, influential, and lunatic piece of breathtaking dystopia. Gilliam makes 2 fictional worlds collide, a mind-blowing cyberpunk reality and that of Sam Lowry retreating to personal fantasies. Extraordinary work of a genius. This is the measure-to-measure science fiction manifestos of totalitarian control and society being pushed to its sanity limits because of an absorbing and surrounding environment of technology, along with the animated milestone Akira from 1988.
Wow. What a
and then this person gives it a
glowing review.
This person gives it a score out of 100, which doesn't really mean anything considering you're also giving it a score out of 5 stars. So
yeah, that's silly. Yeah, that's 5 out of 5.
Yeah, that was a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean they're literally. I mean they're salivating at like how the imagination and like the sheer influence that this movie has. Narrative storytelling as a whole, visual and like, come on, man.
They're glazing the shit out of Gilliam here.
Yeah, they're glazing the shit out of Gilliam.
Hey, how about this? For bonus points, what do you think their rating out of 100 was? You already know it was 5 stars. So
was it 100, Christian?
I don't know. Was it 100?
I mean, why would it not be? Wait, this dude literally came out here and he's like 99 out of 100, but 5 out of 5. It's got to be 100. What a loser if he did it any other way.
He gave it a 96 out of 100.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
He wanted the people to know that it's not a perfect 100, but he's giving it a 5 out of 5 anyway because it rounds up.
Exactly. It rounds up to 5. So because he can't give it a 96 out of 100 as the official letterbox, they're just like, it's a 5 there, but really my score is 96 out of 100.
Can I just be so for real? That's a genuine who asked moment. Like, you were on a website with a bona fide review score rating scale, and you go out of your way to be like, oh, and then this is my real rating out of 100 because I don't have enough resolution. Like, brother, come on. Like, look at yourself in the mirror,
this
man.
website
Is this
doesn't
really what
allow
you
me
want to
enough
be?
sig figs.
Yeah, come on.
By the way, a lot of people do this on Letterboxd, especially people who have their own movie review podcasts or just kind of do this. I run across so many people that just have watch lists and they're like, oh, this is my summer watch list 2015. This is movie 16 out of 72 and here's my score out of 100. And it's just like, do people
know what I also came across too?
this?
I don't know if people follow for that, but you know what I came across too with this movie? I think this movie is on like some like European, like British list of like the top 50 movies of all time, placed at like number 16.
Fucking heinous.
Crazy
Heinous.
To me.
They're probably just slobbering over him and the rest of Monty Python because they all came from Britain. So
yeah, probably
just a bit of bias there. All right, I've got 3 more reviews for you. So we're gonna go. We're gonna go for.
I'm locked in.
Let's go for this one. God, I hate this movie. Had to watch it for a film class, and it was one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. It epitomizes everything I hate about film, bro. You're just not smart enough to get it. Culture. Sometimes movies are just bad, and this is one of them. Terry Gilliam should pay me for having to sit through this awful, pretentious nightmare.
Ooh, oh man. All right. Do I go on the extreme low end, or do I just go with the casual low end? I mean, it's got to be a 1. At least there's no reason they would go out here and say Terry Gilliam needs to pay me to watch this fucking movie. But does he go the half? I think most people don't know they can go the half. So I'm just gonna say it's a 1 star. It's a 1 star review.
Are you sure?
I'll be honest. I'm less sure now, but I'm locking it in, Christian. You can't sway me.
You should have let me sway you, brother, because that was a 0.5 star review.
No,
and I gotta say, this movie, this review gave me so much joy. Because
you felt so vindicated.
Well, I felt vindicated, but more poignantly, when I did Imaginarium with Justin, I had another review of somebody who had Imaginarium in their film class, and they walked out of that, and they walked out of that class. He said that I'll read you the review too here, just for the fun of it, because I still have it. I have a film theory class this semester, and this is the first movie my professor showed us. I walked out of class 35 minutes in, a genuinely incomprehensible, unenjoyable, childish story. And then this person gives away the goat, so I had to censor it for Justin. The half star is for Andrew Garfield, who was the only actor that was giving a good performance before I stopped watching. Awful. So not only is there another review about somebody who had this shitty movie for a film class, they also gave it a 0.5 stars. And I was so I had to laugh so hard about that, and I knew I wrote it down immediately.
2 peas in a pod, dude. 2 peas in a pod.
These people need to get together and have a chat. I need to connect these people.
We need to connect these people, and they should make a movie podcast.
Oh, please. That would be so good.
About movies they had to watch in fucking film class.
I want it.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
All right. 2 more to go. This person decided to write some poetry on letterboxd.com, and they said,
boy, here we go.
Dystopian films can be subtle, but Terry Gilliam has a rebuttal. Needing a hero, in swings De Niro, starring as Archibald Tuttle.
Oh, dude, and it's a limerick. Wow, look at that. Or, well, maybe is that a limerick? Is it AABBA? Or is that what you call a limerick?
Limerick. AA, yes. 5-line poem with the AAB with the ABBA structure. Yes.
I was right.
You're all right.
The ABBA structure.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Dude, Mamma Mia 3? Question mark. Anyway, moving on.
Fuck.
Wait. So anyway, that I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really have any teeth to it, but it's funny, and they went out of their way to make it a poem. So I'm gonna say 4 out of 5.
I think you have been a half star off on every single one of these outside of the one you got right.
Is it 4.5? Is it 4.5?
That was 4.5 stars.
For fuck's sakes, dude. That's so stupid.
You're like so close to dialed in on these Letterboxd reviewers, and then they subvert you somehow, and it's Incredible.
It's fine. Honestly, this is the least annoyed I've been on a Letterboxd guest in a long time. And it's probably because I'm always half a star away. Like I'm in. I'm just not dialed. That's fine.
Yeah, there's some coefficient that needs to be accounted for here, and it's never consistent though.
I need to find the Terry coefficient.
All right. Last one to see if we can recover some Letterboxd dignity. The production design, music, and the dark ending are great, but the characters are so boring to watch. The story isn't compelling. The film is about 30 minutes too long. The quote-unquote romance is some sort of manic pixie dream girl for an incel nonsense, and bureaucracy is dull element gets stale and annoying fast. A single scene here is more effective and funnier than the satire in this film. It's honestly lots of style with completely insufferable substance. I'll never love a movie following a dull protagonist, just like I'll never fuck a man I can't have an interesting conversation with. There has to be a connection, but there have to be sparks. There's no sparks here, just one pig dreaming.
Just one pig dreaming. Drop the microphone.
Mhm.
Okay, that has to be a low star. Question is how low again? Fuck. I feel like they sort of liked parts of what it was doing, but they fucking hated the romance. And then they had the same critiques that we had about how they don't really tie the two things together very well. I think I'm gonna go 2-star. 2-star feels right.
Are you adjusting for the Letterboxd coefficient for the Gilliam
2.5 star feels right. No, wait. Maybe it's the other way because they hate it. 1.5 star. Final answer.
Final answer.
1.5.
You got it, buddy. It was 1.5.
Yes! Let's do it.
The coefficient works.
The coefficient works. If it's a good review, you have to half point adjust upwards. If it's a bad review, you have to half point adjust downwards.
Mm-hmm.
I got
There
it.
you
All
go,
right, now
buddy.
we've done it. I wish I knew the Terry coefficient ahead of time. Fuck.
Incredible. Well, that was great. Thank you for joining me once again, Brendan, for another rousing movie recording. And by rousing, I mean I wish I kind of almost wish I could unsee this movie.
I'm not that bad. I'm glad that I watched it because it's the only one of the three that I hadn't seen that I'm familiar with. So of the ones that I'm familiar with, Terry Gilliam. Now I didn't know he had many movies outside those three or these three, and when he was in Monty Python. But I'm glad that I saw it. I'm never gonna see it again.
Yeah.
Like I have no intention of watching this movie ever again. Maybe I'll watch a little highlight clip reel or something like that. Be like, oh yeah, that was cool when they did that, or that was a funny bit there, and then be like, glad I don't have to sit through 2.5 hours of it though.
2.5 hours, so long. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's fine that I watched this. I'm not gonna take that time back, but yeah, it makes me almost want to watch the Baron movie now, just so that I also have completed the trilogy, much like you needed to watch Brazil in order to do so. And if we're following the trend, I wouldn't be surprised because this movie was recommended to us once again by It's Me Rabbit, who gave us Time Bandits last time. So
I was wondering if it was the same individual. Yeah,
it is the same individual. It seems like we're working our way up the trilogy. So I think it's very likely that we'll end up watching Baron next month. And maybe I don't think I haven't seen that movie in probably 15 years, I think. That sounds about right. Sometime in high school. Awesome. It would be incredible if I could get both you and Devin on for it, but it's so hard to pin Devin down with his work schedule that it might not be possible.
Yeah.
Just because he's the one who watched Time Bandits with me. And he actually enjoyed Time Bandits too. And that was somewhat surprising given the chaotic kind of nature of it. But I thank you once again. I almost called you Time Rabbit. It's Me Rabbit, and for being our producer this month and giving us this movie. I apologize that it didn't turn out maybe the way that you hoped, but it's Me Rabbit. I'm gonna be so fucking honest. If you love this movie and you were unsatisfied, I will give you a genuine apology within the Discord. But I know what I know, and I can't take anything back, brother. There's so much of this movie that they just I can't look past. I'm so sorry. Same here. But if you'd like to explain us to us in more detail over what you thought of it, you can hit us up on our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Go follow us there at Panda Sightings. You can send us an email at pandasightings@gmail.com. If you would like to join the Discord to support us like It's Me Rabbit did and a bunch of our other Discord patrons, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of this podcast episode or going to the social bios where we have the link tree and following us there. If you don't want to necessarily join the Discord to get to give us some money, you can go to our merchandise store, which we have going on for a little while longer. I think by the time this episode goes up, there'll be still a little bit of time left on it.
Maybe like a week or so.
As far as I know, it's gonna close up shop either the end of May or the first week of June. So if you're listening to this, there's a very good chance it's still there, but possibly for not much longer. So if you want some Panda View merch, which we have now, I've been promising it for years. We've got it. And
we have been promising it.
You can go look at our merch store, or you can go to the Redbubble where some of the designs that are on the merchandise are also available for stickers, and you can just have one of those, as well as putting the design on any of the other offerings that Redbubble has there. So you can also do that.
Woohoo! I
you.
have my Panda View merch, or my Panda View shirt right here. It's
Hell yeah.
It's lovely. It's gorgeous. It's black, and I love it.
Hell yeah. Panda View represent.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you for joining me, Brendan. I will catch you next time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Except
hook
maybe
up
not
the trailer.
Consider
and,
we might be dead.
No, yeah, we're absolutely gonna be. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm leaving. I'm fleeing the country as of right now. So I'm gonna hook up my trailer, and I'm heading straight out to the countryside. You know, rolling green hills. Here I come.
Oh, dude. Send me a postcard or something whenever you get there. I guess
you got it. Absolutely.
I'll get you my new address.
All right. Well, I hope you make it, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Godspeed.
Godspeed.
Bye.